This is an Inbound Logistics AI presentation.
You know, it is a pretty wild experience when you actually stop and think about it. You are sitting on your couch, you tap a button on your phone to buy something, and within hours, a physical package just sort of magically appears on your doorstep.
Right. It feels completely seamless.
Yeah. Have you ever wondered how that single click somehow flawlessly orchestrates this massive, complex, global ballet of trucks, cargo ships, and warehouses to get a product to your door?
I mean, we call it ballet, but honestly, the choreography happening behind the scenes is infinitely more chaotic than most of us give it credit for.
Like that.
We tend to just look at the physical box on the porch and, completely ignore the global nervous system that had to fire perfectly just to get it there.
It really does feel like magic to us.
Yeah.
But today we are looking at the actual wizard behind the curtain. We've got our hands on a massive stack of industry research and raw market data.
And it is a lot of data.
It is. Specifically, we are looking at the insights driving Inbound Logistics Magazine's evaluation of the top 100 logistics and supply chain technology providers.
Which is a huge benchmark for the industry.
Exactly. Our mission for this deep dive into the source material is to unpack how this technology empowers demand-driven enterprises to basically rewire the global supply chain.
And the market is undergoing a massive fundamental transformation right now. The supply chain is no longer just about moving boxes. It is entirely about moving data.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because looking at the research, the data suggests companies are completely abandoning the software they've used for decades. Why the sudden panic to change now?
Well, the panic comes from the fact that those old systems are just buckling under modern consumer expectations. You have to understand how fragmented things used to be.
Right. I was looking at how these older systems are structured,
Yeah.
and it honestly seems like a nightmare. You would have one standalone point solution that only handles transportation.
Yeah.
And then another entirely different system for warehouse inventory, and maybe a third just for procurement. I keep picturing a terrible group project where none of the students are allowed to actually talk to each other.
That is a perfect analogy. Because in a traditional setup, those systems literally do not speak the same language.
So they're just operating in silos.
Totally in silos. The transportation software might do a batch upload of its data at midnight. That means the warehouse software is operating on information that is already 12 hours out of date.
Wow. That's a lifetime in logistics.
It is. And that's why the industry is finally rejecting those fragmented point solutions. They are moving in favor of unified, cloud-native platforms. The research calls them open ecosystem operating systems.
Open ecosystem. I see that term thrown around a lot in tech marketing. But what does that actually mean functionally for a shipper?
It basically means instead of a rigid piece of software sitting on a server in a company's basement, the platform acts as a central hub in the cloud. It uses open APIs to instantly connect all these different best-in-class tools.
Okay, so they can finally talk to each other.
Exactly. So the moment a truck is delayed by, say, a flat tire on the highway, the system instantly tells the warehouse management tool, which instantly adjusts the labor schedule. It integrates planning and execution in real time.
I do want to push back on this a little bit, though.
Sure.
Because every tech company sells the idea of a single pane of glass, right? This idea where you can see your entire global operation on one beautiful screen.
Yeah.
Are companies actually achieving that, or is that just an impossible tech marketing dream?
What's fascinating here is that it is no longer just a dream. It is an absolute survival requirement now.
Really? A survival requirement?
Yes. Unifying data across fleets, carriers, and facilities is the only way to ensure data integrity and scalability in such a volatile global market. You cannot optimize a network if the transportation team and the warehouse team are looking at different sets of data.
That makes sense. And the research also points out a huge human element driving this concept of tribal knowledge.
Oh, tribal knowledge is a huge factor. Think about a veteran dispatcher who has been at a logistics company for 30 years.
Right? They know everything.
They do. That person inherently knows that, on a Tuesday in November, you don't use a specific carrier for a route through Chicago because they always run late. That isn't written down in any manual.
It's just an algorithm running solely in that dispatcher's head.
Exactly. But as that older workforce retires, all that vital operational knowledge just walks out the door. Unifying the data eliminates those manual reporting gaps and captures that knowledge.
But wait, once companies finally have all their data unified in one place, what do they actually do with it?
Well, they have to give it a brain.
Give it a brain. Okay, elaborate on that.
We are seeing a dramatic industry-wide shift from descriptive analytics to prescriptive and autonomous decision-making.
I have heard those terms, but let's define them for you listening. How does the system's brain actually change in that progression?
So think of descriptive analytics as telling you what happened yesterday. Like your truck was late, it's helpful, but you can't fix it.
Right, it's already in the past.
Exactly. Prescriptive analytics tells a human what to do right now. Like your truck is going to be late, you should reroute this other one to cover the load.
And autonomous decision-making.
It just does it for you. It executes the reroute without even asking. This is driving a massive surge in demand for decision intelligence platforms. Companies want measurable business outcomes.
Which leads to a really wild concept in the research agentic AI.
Yeah.
I have to say, that sounds incredibly sci-fi.
It does sound like sci-fi.
Yeah, like we are handing the keys of the global supply chain over to a supercomputer.
The terminology is very futuristic, but the application is highly specific. An AI agent is a system that continuously senses signals across the supply chain.
Signals like what?
Things like fluctuations in consumer demand, sudden labor capacity shortages, or port congestions. It takes all those microvariables, independently evaluates the trade-offs, and then orchestrates an outcome.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because when you say AI, people picture that kind of high-level, sentient strategy. But the research highlights a huge demand for what they call practical AI.
Yes, practical AI is what companies actually want right now.
Right? These logistics companies don't want a sentient robot. They just want a system that can, intelligently schedule a loading dock.
Because the loading dock is historically one of the worst bottlenecks in the physical world. The days of first come, first serve at the warehouse dock are just a disaster for efficiency.
I was reading about the dwell times in these outdoor shipping yards.
Yeah.
You have truckers showing up and just idling their engines for 3 hours, waiting for a physical garage door to open.
Burning fuel and burning through their legally allowed driving hours. Practical AI eliminates that first-come, first-serve bottleneck with intelligent dock scheduling.
And there's also the automated document extraction.
Right. Huge efficiency gain there.
Right.
Instead of a clerk manually typing a crumpled bill of lading into a computer, the AI just scans it, extracts the data, and populates the system instantly. We are moving from reactive, manual firefighting to proactive, autonomous networks.
But all this brilliant cloud AI assumes the real world is telling the truth. And a lot of times, it isn't.
The physical world is very messy.
Exactly. The supply chain is intensely physical. It is muddy shipping yards, bad weather, lost pallets. How does this digital intelligence manifest in the real world of trucks and warehouses?
That is the crucial friction point. The AI is only as smart as the data feeding it, which is why shippers are moving away from easily spoofed digital-only tracking.
Meaning what exactly? Like relying on a driver's cell phone signal?
Yes, sophisticated cargo theft syndicates have figured out how to spoof those digital signals. They make the system think a truck is safely parked in Ohio when they are actually unloading $1 million of electronics in a different state.
Oh, wow. That is terrifying.
It is. So there is a universal demand now for sensor-based ground truth and smart labels.
I want to zero in on this concept of smart labels. Because I think about tracking a package, and I just picture refreshing a web page. Does this mean my package of socks could essentially transmit a live, continuous signal?
Yes, it provides granular, item-level visibility. These smart labels use passive sensors that harvest ambient radio frequency energy. They don't even need batteries.
Wait, really? No batteries at all?
No batteries. They just absorb energy from gateways in the warehouse, power up for a microsecond, and ping back their exact location.
That is wild. It turns the physical item into a continuous data source.
And that is critical because missing inventory isn't just lost money. It is a blind spot that completely breaks the agentic AI's ability to plan.
Oh, I see. If the AI doesn't know where the physical box is, it can't orchestrate the network.
Exactly. Granular item-level visibility is what feeds that autonomous brain we were just talking about.
And this intelligence is flooding into historically underinvested areas too, like warehouse and yard management. The research talks about facilities prioritizing automation orchestration to handle labor constraints and SKU proliferation.
Yes, SKU proliferation is a huge challenge right now.
For you listening, SKU stands for Stock Keeping Unit, basically a unique product variation. But what does that explosion of products look like for a facility?
Well, 20 years ago, a cookie company might have 3 SKUs. Today, they have 50, gluten-free, peanut butter, family size. A human picker can't navigate that efficiently.
So they use automation orchestration to manage the robotics and humans together.
Exactly. And they use yard management tools to reduce that dwell time we talked about, feeding all that ground truth data back into the broader network.
Building this kind of sensor-driven network sounds incredibly intense. Let's look at the industry hotspots. With all this powerful technology available, who is actually feeling the pressure to buy it right now?
The demand is heavily concentrated in sectors facing high volatility or strict regulatory requirements. Healthcare and pharma are at the very top of the list.
So what does this all mean? The stakes in healthcare are just fundamentally different, right?
Absolutely.
If a retail supply chain fails, a birthday gift arrives late. It's annoying. But a missed delivery in healthcare means a delayed surgery or compromised medication.
The healthcare logistics space is driven by the unforgiving nature of delivery promises. They need absolute cold chain integrity and hypo-compliance tracking for sensitive shipments.
And what about the food and beverage sector?
Also huge. Their focus is on traceability, expiration tracking, and rapid expansion of cold storage. You can't have a pallet of strawberries sitting in a hot yard for 3 hours.
Right. And retail and e-commerce are still feeling the heat too, I imagine.
Definitely. Continued pressure from omni-channel fulfillment. Consumers expect ultra-fast delivery, which requires hyperlocal micro-fulfillment nodes. You incredibly incredibly smart software to manage that.
What about geographically? Where is this tech being deployed the most?
North America remains a dominant growth area.
Is that because of the reshoring effect? I know a lot of companies are bringing manufacturing back.
Exactly. Reshoring and nearshoring in the U.S.-Mexico corridor are creating massive new network complexities. You need smarter planning tools to navigate that border efficiently.
And Europe, they usually have different pressures.
This raises an important question about what actually drives innovation. Europe is seeing accelerated adoption of these digital platforms driven by strict ESG sustainability mandates and carbon reporting regulations.
Oh, wow. So they are legally required to track their emissions.
Yes. You can't just use a spreadsheet for that. The software has to dynamically calculate the carbon footprint of every shipment.
And the Asia-Pacific region.
They are the fastest growing market for budget expansion right now. They are modernizing their infrastructure to support highly fragmented partner ecosystems.
It is fascinating to see how external pressures like Europe's carbon mandates or North America's reshoring are actually forcing technological innovation much faster than pure profit motives ever could.
Necessity really is the mother of invention here.
It really puts it all into perspective.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, whether you are managing a corporate project, ordering groceries online, or waiting on a prescription, this invisible, highly intelligent web of logistics technology is dictating your reality.
It touches everything.
It really does. The technology evaluated by inbound logistics is directly dictating the speed, the cost, and the availability of your physical world.
It is. But I do want to leave you with a final thought to chew on, something that builds on our discussion about agentic AI.
Okay, let's hear it.
If we are rapidly approaching a world where autonomous AI agents are independently negotiating rates, booking freight, and routing physical goods across the globe without human intervention, who is ultimately legally responsible when an algorithm makes a multi-million-dollar mistake that causes a physical world supply chain crash?
Oh, man. That is a multi-million-dollar question. It is a brave new world out there. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Until next time, keep questioning the world around you.
Join the conversation on this topic by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting inboundlogistics.com.